Before we jump straight into Premiere Pro, we're going to take a quick look at the folder structure I've got for this project. It's best practice to generally keep your folders as clean as possible so that if you ever have to move computers or hand the project over to another editor, in theory all you'll need to do is copy one folder to a hard drive and hand it over. Let's have a look at our folder structure. So on my desktop I've got a folder called Animal Trainers Documentary, and inside that folder I have two more folders. I have Assets and Project Files. At the moment, Project Files doesn't have anything in it. This is where all of our save data will be for our project. And Assets is where I keep anything that I might use within the actual film itself. So this is footage, music, voiceovers, and sound effects. The footage folder is also broken down into three types of footage. I'm now going to show you how to launch Premiere Pro. On a Mac, I'm going to open Finder, go to Applications, and find Premiere Pro, and double click. For those using a PC, you can find Premiere Pro in your normal Programs menu. Once the program has loaded up, I get greeted with this splash screen, and it's going to ask me whether I want to make a new project, open a project, or start some team projects. For right now, I'm going to be making a new project, so I just click New, and then it's going to ask me what settings do I want to include with the project. Now, if you don't know the settings that you need for the type of footage that you've shot, then you can just leave these settings, give it a name and hit OK, and Premiere Pro will do its best to figure out how it should set up your project once you start importing your clips. But generally speaking, at the university you're going to be working in 25 frames a second, 1080p footage. I'm going to give my project a name, and I'm going to call it Animal Trainers. And it asks me where I'd like to save the project. I'm going to go into Browse, and then on my desktop I'll find my folder, and I've already created a Project Files folder for it, so I'll click into there and hit Choose. I'm now going to click OK and start my project. So now we're greeted with the editing screen of Premiere Pro. You'll see at the top of the window we've got different types of workflow that we could use, and we can select them for different tasks. On the left we've got learning, so if we click on here we've got on the left hand side some tutorial videos that we can use in addition to the ones that you're watching now. Then we have assembly. Now this is where you'll start to put together an edit if you're working on a fairly big team. If you've got somebody who's your editing assistant, they might start to build part of the project for you to later review. Because we're going to be working on our own, we're just going to be using the editing screen for much of what we're doing here. But as the second video in this series mentioned, there are color, effects, audio, and graphics workflows within post-production as a whole. We can use Premiere Pro in any of these modes to quickly find all the tools needed for the type of work we're completing at that moment. For today's purposes, we'll only be using the editing workflow. In the editing workflow, the top left of our screen is our source monitor. This is where we'll be able to preview any of the clips that we bring in and decide if we want to pre-cut them before taking them to the timeline. On the right hand side, we have our program monitor. This will show us the actual output of the video that we're creating. So once we've started to cut together shots, when we play it back, this right hand side is where we'll see our work. In the bottom left we have our project panel, and this is where we'll see any of the clips that we bring into the program. And on the right hand side we have our timeline, and this is where we'll build our sequences and create the edit. That's everything for this video, so we're just going to save our project, which we'll do by going to File and down to Save. And in the next video we'll start importing assets into the program.